All right, let's hope this is actually working. Looks like it's saying the mic is picking up. I will go check on that real quick and we will get into it because there is a lot of things that we need to unpack here. So let me just pull this up on my phone to make sure the sound's working. Let me test this out. All right, we are good to go. So I apologize for that. I was checking on my phone. Um, I don't even assume we're going to get people in here because, I just never seem to get luck with my streams. But then afterwards, they'll get views for some reason. Like the one I did with the car graveyard, that stream went and got over 100 views after the fact that I streamed it. So, I don't know. But if you guys are watching the replay, thanks for that. I'm going to be going over a lot of stuff that I'm not just going to fit into one video that I'd have to edit down and all that. Now, I will say, I do have some stuff planned, stuff that you'll see very soon. We'll be touching on Cody Ware news, as I put in the title and thumbnail. And relating to that, I have a whole video essay type documentary, whatever you want to call it. I have that scripted out. It's going to be about Cody Ware. It's actually really interesting. He's definitely got a lot more to his career than you might think. I'll spoil a little bit of it. He goes back. It goes back a long ways to his late model days or whatever he was running, and then the IMSA Lamborghinis, and he really worked his way up. And because I started with that, I'm gonna figure out which tab I put the Cody Ware news in, and yeah, here we go. So we're gonna be talking about the Cody Ware news first. Daytona Beach News Journal, and then later reposted onto J-Ski. Cody Ware is hoping to share a ride, or his ride, with Kaz Gralla and return to the Cup Series this year in 2024. Again, my video is not released because I have never actually gotten around to recording it and editing it, and I'm going to have some other people featured in it. That's another spoiler. But in that video, I was kind of touching on what I think he should do, and I kind of talk about some speculations. But then this news dropped, and I saw it while I was actually still at school, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So Cody Ware, again, was reinstated by NASCAR back in December after all the criminal and civil charges were dropped from his domestic assault case last April, which got him suspended. So Cody Ware and his former girlfriend ended up facing charges, and his ex-girlfriend was also facing a civil suit by Rick Ware, who, unless you're brand new to NASCAR, is Cody Ware's father. And so Cody Ware will likely come back in April, which is kind of when he plans to, in the 15 car. Kaz Gralla, of course, he announced that he was going to be running 25 of the races in the 15 car. That left about 10 or 11 open for anyone. And so Cody Ware could be running up to about almost a dozen races. So he wants to be back in the car in April. Cody Ware said, not set in stone, but tentatively plans are to be back in the Cup car in April. We're dotting our I's and crossing out T's out there. I think that's a typo. With sponsorships and getting everything lined up. After my suspension last year, I lost the majority of my sponsorships, so we're trying to build everything back up after that. So the way Cody Ware phrases that, I think he's kind of implying, I guess he might still have a few sponsorships, and he's got to get some more sponsorship deals worked out before he can come back and run a Cup car. Because we saw funding for every single Rick Ware race car last year. I think there was one race where JJ Yaley didn't have any sponsorship. So funding is very important, and he's been running the IMSA car lately, which is kind of where this broke. It's from the Daytona Beach News Journal. He's down there getting ready to run the Rolex 24. So we're probably not going to see him in the Daytona 500 unless he gets sponsorship real quick. I assume they're entering Kaz Gralla into that race, which on Cody's part is kind of unfortunate because he actually did have a good 500 last year for sure. He finished in the 12th position, and Riley Herbst and the other Rick Ware car finished 10th. So they actually did really well. But that's the news on Cody Ware. I also put the thumbnail background on as Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, so I'll talk about that next. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus both entered the Hall of Fame together, which makes perfect sense. Donnie Allison was also inducted from the Pioneer ballot, so three very deserving people now in the Hall of Fame. So Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus had a 17-year working relationship in the Cup Series where they won 83 races, unless Chad was suspended for one or two of those. I wouldn't know. I'm pretty sure they won all 83 races together, 7 championships, multiple consecutive titles. Just they were a force to be reckoned with back in the day. Before I started watching, when I was younger, I wasn't even alive for some of Jimmy's championships, but like he went on a tear. I didn't become a fan until the year after his final win. So that was kind of disappointing. I did get to see Jimmy on track in person at least when he was still driving the 48 as well last year with the low sponsorship. So I did see Jimmy Johnson drive the car in person at Michigan. So that I can at least say I saw that, but like his last years were not so great. He had some highlights for sure. He came close to winning multiple times. Some bad luck being swept up in the wrecks at Daytona ultimately knocked him out of making the playoffs in his final season. And if he had more motivation, there's a slight chance he could have gone for 8 championships, which would have been really cool to see. But I mean, he had a strong performance in his final race with Hendrick. I believe he finished fifth in that silver paint scheme. So um, Jimmy definitely had a great career, and it's cool to see him going in with his crew chief. Um, Jeff Gordon, his former teammate, said, "quote He's the best driver I ever raced against," and I don't blame him because I mean Jeff Gordon didn't really get to race Richard Petty during his prime era. I believe Jeff Gordon's first Cup start came in Richard Petty's final Cup start, and so Gordon never got to race Richard Petty when he was in his high peak. He did get to race Dale Earnhardt, but like not for his entire career. Jeff Gordon raced Jimmy Johnson for most of his career, like most of his dominant career. Jeff Gordon's final year in a Cup car was, I believe, the year before Jimmy Johnson's final win in a Cup car because he came back. Of course, Jeff Gordon did. He came back and subbed for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2016. So 2016 is technically his final Cup season. And so, Jimmy even said, like, I'm so glad we're able to go in on the same ballot to Chad because it makes sense. They had a very long working relationship. And, you know, Jimmy's just very grateful to Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick. As he said, they selected him for the 48, and he says he's still not sure why, but resulted in a lot of wins. 5 straight championships from 2006 to 2010 by Jimmy Johnson. And then, of course, Tony Stewart, the infamous tying title in 2011, broke that streak and won that title. So, Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus going into the Hall of Fame together, along with Donnie Allison. Jimmy Johnson's running at currently a minimum of like 8 or 9 races in 2024 in the 84 car, and he has 83 wins. So wouldn't it be a heck of a thing to witness if we could see Jimmy Johnson get his 84th win in the 84 car in 2024? It would just right after being inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That would just be awesome to see, in my opinion. So, that's just something I'm hoping to see too. He does probably have some realistic shots. You never know what's going to happen at Daytona. That's always a long shot. Jimmy could win another Daytona 500 because I'm 98% sure he won some. He's won a billion races at Dover at this point. He's got Dover on his schedule. He's won races at Kansas, Charlotte. He's won like every single one of these tracks that he signed up to race. He'll be back in the Brickyard 400, the return of the Brickyard 400. He was in the last Brickyard 400. That race was, chaotic, and I still wish Matt Kenseth had won that race. I don't care what you say. That would have been awesome to see if Matt Kenseth could have won, and that was his only top 5 of his final season. It was a second place finish, but we're getting off topic. So, Jimmy and Chad in the Hall of Fame together, and then of course Donnie Allison. He is very. I think he happened to. Okay, I've lost my words here. Donnie Allison was happy to be inducted. And then he disputed the characterization of his altercation with Cale Yarborough back in 1979, the first televised full flag-to-flag NASCARs. He said, quote, "Fought? I never fought. I never touched that man. He never touched me." Interesting way to put it. And then Janet Guthrie, I might have butchered that name. Of course, one of the pioneer female drivers in NASCAR. She was honored as the recipient of the Landmark Award for outstanding contributions to NASCAR. So she was a sports car racer. She finished 15th in her Cup debut in the 1976 Coca-Cola 600, which I believe was the World 600 back then. And she competed in a total of 33 Cup races, with her best finish being a sixth place finish at Bristol. She also ran in the Indy 500. Um, so her and Danica Patrick have the tied. They're tied for best finish by a woman in the Cup Series. I don't know. And we do have. There are a lot of female drivers in NASCAR and ARCA at this point. We could eventually see one of them work their way up and hopefully perform better than Danica did, and maybe someone will get a top five. That would we have a lot of prospects, you could call them. Although I know, the Haley Deegan hype train has probably fallen off a bit. She's in better equipment this year. Technically, she seems to have a better. Her driving style seems to be suited more towards an Xfinity car. She finished like 13th in her debut, and so maybe we'll see her pull something off. We got Tony Breidinger, Amber Balkin, a bunch of drivers down in ARCA. So we'll see where that goes. Rusty Wallace received the Buddy Schumann Award for his charitable endeavors. And then they recognized Ken Squire and Cale Yarborough, two titans of NASCAR, as they call it, who passed away, unfortunately, in 2023. So, Ken Squire was the play-by-play for that race where Yarborough and Allison fought. So, the late Shav Glick of the Los Angeles Times received the Squire Hall Award of Media Excellence. So that's going to wrap up that story. We'll just go to the next one I have up. And NASCAR making the right decision, fixing the wrong decision they made that sparked outrage, where they basically said, okay, so we're going to have the heat races for the Clash just be the day before the Clash and not allow a single fan in to even witness it. So we're going to have these empty stands, no one's there, and it's going to look so great on TV. Well, it was posted that fans can now get free access to the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum this weekend. So that's really cool. Hold on, I need to answer a text. Sorry about that. All right. So basically, they opened it up for everyone. You can just show up. You can get in for free. To the Saturday action. So there's all four. There's qualifying, practice qualifying, and 4 heat races for the Cup Series. And then there will also be practice and qualifying for the Mexico Series, heavily underrated series. I can't wait for that to be on display there. So now you can see practice and qualifying for the Mexico Series, practice and qualifying for the Cup Series, and all 4 heat races for free. So, they posted a video that I will attempt to put on screen here. Let's configure this camera, and we will. I don't think it's going to pick up. Yeah, I'm not going to try picking that up. Getting messages again. Sorry for the 2 viewers that I'm getting sidetracked right now. All right, so basically that's going to be better. It's going to have a much better look on TV. I'm hoping I'm able to watch it. I've listened to the MRN broadcast of the first few Coliseum races. It was pretty fun, especially the heat races. I still remember from the 2022 one where Ty Dillon was upsetting a lot of people, a lot of drivers. He was driving all out. So we'll see who gets into that. In sponsorship news, it's gonna be all over the place with the stream. I'll tell you. 3G is hoping to return to Richard Childress Racing in 2024, as reported by Adam Stern of Sports Business Journal. So on Thursday, Zone Premium Nicotine pouches was announced as a primary sponsor for Kyle Busch and select races, including the Daytona 500. Last season, 3G sponsored the number 8 in 8 races. It was only 8. Okay, I thought it was more. It seemed like more, including Kyle Busch's most recent win, which was at Gateway in June. So Adam Stern posted on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it here, that 3G is hoping to be back with Richard Childress Racing later this year amid changes in the Delta 8 THD industry. And Kyle, okay, I don't even. These are interesting brandings, but they're hoping to be back on the car. It's kind of I have never. I don't know. The scheme is just kind of basic. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I mean it works, I guess. Um, so we'll just see. They're hoping to be back. We'll see if they can get any deal worked out. This is a completely random one that was announced today. Kevin Harvick Incorporated will field two entries in the 2024 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. So Kevin Harvick Incorporated is in the world of esports now, and they will field 2 entries in the 2024 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series with veteran drivers Matt Bussa, I'm gonna butcher these names again, and Jimmy Mullins. So, Kevin Harvick said that his introduction to iRacing came during COVID, and it turned into something that his son Keelan and he could do together. And since then, iRacing just became a tool for Keelan to hone his skills and get virtual seat time for his upcoming races. And Kevin said he's excited to welcome Matt and Jimmy into the KHI family. So Matt is a native of, I think that's Illinois that it's saying there. He will be driving the virtual 62. It'll be his 12th consecutive season at eNASCAR's highest level. He's a 29-year-old driver with over 1,200 poles, 2,200 top fives, 1,200 wins, and over 45,000 laps led. He also has experience in iRacing GT3 and I can't talk today. Rallycross World Championships, and was a Skip Barber Formula Scholarship winner via the iRacing Skip Barber Race Series. And then the other driver that they have is Mullins. He's a consistent figure in iRacing for also nearly a decade. Will be driving the 29 Chevrolet in pursuit of the 2024 title. He's one of the top 10 all-time drivers on iRacing ovals with thousands of victories and thousands of laps led. 4-year win streak came to an end in 2022, but a dramatic victory at the virtual Nashville Superspeedway landed him a spot in the 2023 playoffs, where he ended up 9th in the standings. He's also excited to drive the 29 car. So there you go. Kevin Harvick Incorporated dabbling into esports and eNASCAR iRacing. Brody Kostecki, it was posted that he's not planning to immediately move to the U.S. to chase his NASCAR career. So, of course, Kostecki made his Cup debut at Indy Road Course back in 2023, and he's set to make up to 4 NASCAR starts with Richard Childress Racing in 2024, backed by Peter Adderton and his Mobile X company. However, there have been sources close to Brody Kostecki indicating that a permanent stateside move isn't on the cards in the short term, and he wants to continue in supercars full-time beyond next season. So it'll undoubtedly make him a major talking point when it comes to the silly season next year, as it was sourced from Speed Cafe. So I think Brody Kostecki has potential. He's a very talented driver. I've been watching yesterday I was watching some supercars things on YouTube, I looked through a highlight video, him and SVG and Cam Waters, another guy who's rumored to go over. Those are the only names I recognize, but I've also was getting supercar shorts popping up, and it's very good. It's exciting to watch. Kostecki is very good, and he has potential. So no doubt we're going to see him in Cup some more down the line as well, but he just doesn't want to immediately move to the U.S. As you saw in the thumbnail, and as you've probably seen posted all over the place at this point, Ross Chastain's Busch Light scheme for 2024 was unveiled. The top of the trunk reading Race for the Mountains and the Busch Light logo on the hood, roof, trunk, and sides of the car. I will try to put it on screen here with this webcam. We're going to get it pointed at the screen here. And here it is. Hopefully it's picking up. There's the scheme. But yeah, that's Ross Chastain's little announcement for today. So Chastain will debut the scheme in the Busch Light Clash on February 4th, and will also race it in the Daytona 500, the Enjoy Illinois 300, the Go Bowling at the Glen, the Roval 400, and the championship finale at Phoenix, as well as some more that have yet to be announced. So, another thing, it's a good scheme for sure. Reminds you of the Kevin Harvick schemes, but now it's on the Trackhouse car, and they could probably do some unique things with that. Busch brand has been committed to NASCAR all the way back from 1979. So, they sponsored programs such as the Busch Light Pole Award, the Busch Light Clash, and now they're going to still be going with Trackhouse. So another scheme that we had just been waiting to see, and now it's been announced. Speaking of championship weekend, the tickets for championship weekend at Phoenix Raceway from November 8th to 10th, 2024, they went on sale today. So you can now buy tickets for the Phoenix finale. The Phoenix Raceway president, Latasha Causey, said, "The time to act is now. We want to make sure fans don't miss out on the opportunity to experience all of the action during both of our NASCAR weekends at Phoenix Raceway." So, of course, Phoenix has 4 championship races, not just 3 like you might think. Of course, there's the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, and then ARCA West concludes their season at Phoenix as well. And in 2023, we saw Williams Sawalich win the race, but Sean Hingorani, who made some headlines for not so good things on the racing side last year, wrap up the ARCA West title, if I'm remembering correctly. And if you're wondering what those not so good things were, he managed to get suspended from ARCA of all things. And how did my camera end up like that? It's all twisted now. He got suspended from ARCA of all things last year. Like that was a story to see. But yeah, tickets are now on the sale now. They're on sale for the finale. More sponsorship things. John Hunter Nemechek is bringing over some of his longtime partners to Legacy Motor Club this year. Multiple sponsors. There's a lot of sponsors listed on here. Albertsons companies. They've been supporting Nemechek since 2015 when he started his truck career. They have brands such as Henkel, which produce a bunch of other things, Baja Vida beef jerky. They'll all be represented on the 42 throughout the year. Albertsons company stores can be found in 35 states as well as Washington, D.C. So they are proudly representing one of the nation's largest food and drug retailers. Pye Barker Fire and Safety, with their 8th season as a supporter of Nemechek. They started their relationship with him back in 2016. They've led the way in fire protection and safety equipment since 1946, over 75 years of service, as this press thing says. So they're going to be back on the car. Also, a Texas-based company, Romco Equipment Company, they've been supporting him since 2015, and they've been serving the region's heavy equipment needs for over 60 years. They specialize in construction, paving, and stuff like that. So those are some more sponsors that are coming on board with John Hunter Nemechek. One more thing. Campers Inn RV partners with Richard Childress Racing as an associate sponsor. So they are now the official RV partner of Richard Childress Racing. So that's everything over on the Cup side. We can go through some Xfinity, Truck, and ARCA news as well, because there is stuff to cover there. I'll start with Brennan Poole. Another good Brennan Poole scheme. Mac Door Systems are sponsoring Brennan Poole in 10 races in the 2024 Xfinity season. So it's a pretty colorful paint scheme. I like it. You can look it up. It's pretty good. So it looks like Martinsville, Charlotte, Iowa, Nashville, Darlington, Bristol, Kansas, and Charlotte Roval and Las Vegas, all carrying that paint scheme. Here's an interesting one. 26 different companies will appear on Brandon Jones's number 9 Menards car in 2024. So 26 unique companies on the 9 car, driven by the 26-year-old Georgia driver Brandon Jones. 2 more associate partners than in 2023, and a record for the Wisconsin-based home improvement retail company, which we've seen them sponsoring race cars for a while. So, all sorts of different companies, Atlas Roofing to Watts Water Filtration, as it says. Brands who use the 336 Menards stores So there is a full list of them, and I don't recognize most of them. I recognize Scott's Lawn and Garden Products because I've seen the ads for that. Cheez-Its are going to be on the car. That's about all I recognize. So a lot of sponsors for Brandon Jones in 2024. Um, News about our motorsports came out. Anthony Alfredo's crew chief and the director of motorsports both announced. So Josh Graham is going to be the crew chief for uh, Anthony Alfredo. He was Parker Retzlaff's crew chief last year, and Parker Retzlaff had a pretty good season. He finished 16th in the standings. So this will be Alfredo's third full-time season, back returning to Our Motorsports, where in the past he recorded 1 pole, 1 top 5, and 4 top 10s in 2022. There will also be veteran crew members, Dan Stillman, an engineer, and Rob Winfield, the car chief, and they will continue to lead that car. All the other crew members from 2023 remain with the team as well. And then they also announced a director of motorsports, Keith Barnwell, a longtime NASCAR team executive. So news there. Another car I put on the thumbnail was Jeremy Clements' first Pacific funding car from last year because they announced that they are returning to the team. They'll make their season debut at Las Vegas in March, and then also be on the car at Texas in April and Las Vegas in October. They'll also be an associate sponsor throughout the season. And Jeremy Clements' team confirmed to J-Ski that all of its partners from the 2023 season will be returning for 2024. One more thing. Another car I put on the thumbnail. I've always liked this scheme. The Ziegler Automotive Group sponsoring Josh Bilicki and DJM Racing at Daytona. Of course, they sponsored Josh Bilicki in 2022 when he ran the Cup Series. I believe they're sponsoring Carson Hocevar's 77 Cup car. So they kind of seem to have a thing with Spire, but they're also partnering back with Bilicki and DGM. So they've actually been sponsoring Bilicki since 2019. So pretty cool. I like the scheme, the yellow and black. It really pops, especially it'll look great on the track again. So they announced that partnership again. I put Brett Holmes' truck on the thumbnail for a reason as well. That being because Brett Holmes Racing specifically announced their 2024 season plans and team partnerships. So Brett Holmes is returning for full-time in the Craftsman Truck Series to contend for the championship. They'll continue to be partnered with Chevrolet, and they signed a technical alliance with Spire Motorsports. So Brett Holmes has 36 starts in the Truck Series over the last 3 seasons with 10 top 15s. He almost won a race at Talladega, lost to Matt DiBenedetto. That was a really fun race for sure. Brett Holmes is also, I believe, the 2020 ARCA champion. And he still occasionally runs races in ARCA. Like, I'm pretty sure he ran Daytona last year. Matt DiBenedetto, unfortunately, we just mentioned him. He put out an update saying that he does not have anything lined up. They had to back out of a sponsorship deal. So he's just going to put stuff together over the season. I said I would talk about trucks and ARCA. This one fits together. I'm sure you've heard about it by now because this is 4 days old news. But Cook Racing Technologies signed Marco Andretti to drive the number 17 car in the ARCA Menard Series, as well as select Craftsman Truck Series races in the 04. So that is Corey Roper's team. So he is going to start his 14 ARCA races with the season opener in February, which is probably my favorite ARCA race of the year. Last year was phenomenal. This year it's looking to be really great as well, especially after the test, which Marco did run. So, Cook Racing Technologies formed an alliance with the Houston, Texas-based team Roper Racing, Corey Roper's team, to field the numbers 04 truck for Marco Andretti's truck starts. So, of course, Marco is most notable for his IndyCar career. He got 2 wins, 6 poles, 20 podiums across his 251 starts, finished in the top 10 in IndyCar point standings 9 times. And then he also was the 2022 SRX champion, which there are photos. He actually wore his SRX fire suit for the ARCA Daytona test. So I thought that was kind of funny. So the IndyCar winner and SRX champion, expanding his stock car racing career with these big names moving over to run ARCA races. I think it's definitely going to help ARCA and their publicity because they need that, you know, because they got SVG and Marco Andretti in the season opener, plus the story of Greg Van Alst coming back to defend his race win there, and he's returning full time. I don't think ARCA has a website about that, but Greg Van Alst is running full time in the ARCA series again, and he's actually bringing a second car driven by Isaac Johnson, the 34 car. Nick Sanchez is returning to Rev Racing in the Truck Series, though, with their new technical alliance partner, Spire Motorsports. So, of course, Nick Sanchez ran with the team last year, and he is returning to the team. We're going farther back in old news here. This is a bit old at this point, but Wallace Allen running the full truck season with Rayum Brothers. So, announced it 33 days until before Daytona with the 3030 truck. I do like the scheme. We'll see what he can do in that equipment. It's not the best equipment. One more thing we'll cover in truck news. Back to sponsorship again. Dead on Tools sponsoring Tanner Gray across 16 races in the truck series. So they're returning. Tanner Gray is a 24-year-old driver. He has 10 top fives, 22 top tens. And he'll be paired with crew chief Jermaine Donnelly, and they'll go for the playoffs. So, yeah, that is recent NASCAR news. We'll go through a few ARCA stories because there are a few of those, and then I think that's going to be about it for this stream. It's been over half an hour, so we will go through the ARCA news really quick. Tanner Reif and Brandon Jones are going. We were talking about Cook Racing Technologies. They'll also be driving for the team in the ARCA series, driving the number 42, 2024. So they'll be driving in 11 events across all three ARCA series platforms throughout the year. So we talked about Brandon Jones a little earlier in the stream. He is also going to be running in ARCA, and the team was the Owners Championship in the ARCA Menards Series West. And so Tanner Reif will be driving the 42 in 8 races, and Brandon Jones will be in 3 events, which will be NASCAR companion races in 2024. Last time we saw Brandon Jones in an ARCA car, he was winning. He has 8 ARCA wins right at the moment, as well as 2 ARCA East victories. So Brandon Jones, maybe we'll see him win more in 2024. Another driver announcement on the ARCA side was Ryan Roulette for Fast Track Racing. He'll be driving the number 12 for the season opener with backing from the VFW. So Ryan Roulette will be driving that car. He is the only active duty Air Force officer racing professionally in the ARCA Menards series. So I guess that's something you can say, like, oh yeah, I'm the only Air Force officer in ARCA. So pretty cool to see. We'll see how he does in the 12 car. I talked about Marco Andretti already. In the ARCA test, there were Road to Daytona participants in the test. There were a lot of cars in that test, actually. So we'll go through the drivers that were in that real quick. Chase Berta from the ASA CRA Super Series was the fastest with a 178.841 mile per hour lap, 27th overall out of the 76 drivers that made at least one lap. Justin Bonsignor, you might recognize that name from the Wheel and Modified Tour, he finished second in that last year. He was the 41st quickest. Sean Hangrani, we talked about him. He is indeed the West champion. That confirms it right there. But representing the East Series was 43rd quickest. Michael Hind, however you pronounce that, also an ASA driver, ASA Southern Super Series. Jacob Goed, I can't pronounce his name, but Jacob Goed, a 10-time Elko Speedway Super Late Model champion from the Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series, was 51st. Tyler Reif, who finished second in the West standings in 2023, 61st overall. He also made laps in the car that Marco Andretti drove, and Marco Andretti was the 8th fastest car over the 2-day test. Brian Sierkeski, I hope I pronounced that one right, represented the ASA Midwest Tour. He was 63rd overall. So some drivers getting some experience on Daytona. My voice is like, I don't know. My throat's getting itchy. Been talking for too long. So we'll go over the last 2 pieces of ARCA news, and I think that'll be about it for the stream, unless one of the 2 viewers has something to say in the chat. Eric Johnson Jr. joins Bill McAnally Racing for the full ARCA Menards Series West schedule. 20-year-old driver from Washington will be driving the number 19 Chevrolet SS in the 2024 ARCA Menards Series West season. So they're expanding to 2 full-time entries for the first time since 2022, as Eric Johnson Jr. and Jack Wood will be racing the 11 ARCA. It's an 11-time ARCA Menards Series West championship winning team. Johnson Jr. participated in 4 races last year, securing 2 top 10 finishes, one at Portland and one at All-American, in the exact car he'll be running full-time. So he started his career in 2019 at South Sound Speedway. I'm learning something here. I haven't really heard of this guy. 2021, he shined in Baby Grand stock car racing with 6 wins. Then he moved up to late models in 2022, 6 top 5 finishes in 8 races. And he's using that short track experience for an ARCA Menards Series West rookie season. So we'll see how Eric Johnson Jr. does. Keep an eye on him if you're watching the ARCA Menards Series West. One more ARCA driver announcement that was official on the ARCA website. Michael Maples will be joining Fast Track Racing for the full ARCA Menards Series and ARCA Menards Series East schedules. It's a 6-year-old driver from Oklahoma who plans on self-funding the car for most of the season, but he'll also have sponsorship from his employer, Don Ray Petroleum, and a few other companies throughout the season. So he's been racing in modified since 2019. He also was in asphalt racing in late models before he moved back to Oklahoma. And then Michael Maples says, quote, "When I moved back to Oklahoma, I wanted to race either ASA or ARCA. I've always liked the ARCA series. Some people from Texas raced ARCA. I always thought it seemed like a good series to travel. While attending the ARCA races at Kansas 2023, he met Andy Hillenberg, who's the team owner of Fast Track Racing and the 1995 ARCA champion, and decided that it was a fit to make his dream a reality. So he has a desire to run top 10. Fast Track placed... my voice is dying right now. They placed 2 drivers top 10 in points in the ARCA Menards Series, along with 2 drivers finishing top 5 in the East Series in 2023. So that is all of the 38 minutes of NASCAR and ARCA news I could give you. Thanks for the 2 viewers that seemed to watch for a while, and thank you to everyone re-watching the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. I learned a few new things doing this. But if you want me to see me do more of these in the future, just comment that down below. I'll be happy to do this next time I can. But until next time, hope you enjoyed my first stream of the year. I have big things coming soon. Subscribe. Stay tuned for those. And until then, I'm out.